I know it's hard. Hard to loosen your grip. Hard to unclench the fist around the memories, the mistakes, the pain. But listen carefully. When the hand is closed, nothing new can enter. We carry the weight of old wounds like stones in a bag strapped to our back. Day after day, we climb with it, heavy, exhausting, and yet we refuse to put it down. Why? Because we believe that without this weight, we lose a part of ourselves. We confuse pain with identity. But you are not your scars. You are not the betrayal, the heartbreak, the failure. These are only echoes of the past, and echoes cannot hurt you unless you keep answering them. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean that what happened was meaningless. It means you no longer allow it to chain your spirit. Imagine holding a burning coal in your palm. The tighter you squeeze, the deeper it burns. The only way to stop the fire is to release it. Yes, it hurts to let go, because you've been holding on for so long that the weight feels familiar. Familiar is not the same as safe. Familiar is not the same as peace. Life moves like water, always flowing, never clinging. When you hold on to what is gone, you stand against the current. And the current will not stop. It will drag you under, drown you in resistance. But when you release, when you surrender, suddenly you rise. You float. You breathe again. Letting go is an act of courage. A warrior is not measured by how tightly he clings, but by how freely he stands, unburdened. To open your hand, to unclench your heart. This is not weakness. This is power. The power to transform pain into wisdom, endings into beginnings, loss into freedom. Ask yourself, what are you gripping so tightly that your soul cannot move? Whose voice? Whose memory? What moment is still holding you hostage? Every time you replay it, you chain yourself again, and still, deep inside, you know, it is already gone. So let it go. Let it fall from your hands like autumn leaves carried by the wind. Let it dissolve like morning, mist under the rising sun. Let it shatter like glass that can no longer hold its shape. Do not be afraid of emptiness. In emptiness, there is space. In space, there is possibility. And in possibility, there is freedom. When you let go, you do not lose. You gain room for something greater. You make space for strength, for joy, for love that is not poisoned by the past. The question is not whether it's easy. The question is whether you are willing. Willing to step forward without the chains. Willing to be light. Willing to trust that your open hand can catch the beauty of life that was always waiting. Just beyond the moment you release, the weight of the past becomes a burden only when you refuse to release it. Letting go is not forgetting. It is freeing yourself from the chains of pain and memory. clinging to what is gone burns like fire. Release is the only way to heal. Life flows like water, and resisting the current only drowns the spirit. True strength is found not in holding tighter, but in opening the hand and heart. Emptiness is not loss. It is space for new beginnings, freedom, and transformation. The weight of the past becomes a burden only when you refuse to release it. Think of how often we walk through life carrying invisible stones, each one representing a memory we cannot change, a mistake we cannot undo, a wound we cannot erase. We convince ourselves that holding onto these stones somehow protects us, as if clinging to pain proves that what we went through was real, that it mattered. And yes, it mattered. But the truth is this: pain becomes suffering only when you choose to keep it alive. Imagine a traveler on a long journey. With every mile, the bag on his back grows heavier because he keeps placing new rocks inside. At first, he tells himself he can handle it. That strength is measured by how much he can endure. But step by step, the weight bends his body, slows his pace, and steals his breath. What began as a show of strength becomes a prison he built with his own hands. This is what we do when we cling to the past. We carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's dawn, and then wonder why the road feels unbearable. There comes a moment when you must ask yourself, is this weight still teaching me? Or is it only breaking me? To honor the lesson does not mean to carry the stone forever. The stone was never meant to be your home. It was only meant to sharpen you, to remind you of your strength, to carve wisdom into your soul. But wisdom is not found in chains. It is found in release. The past is a teacher, not a companion. It whispers, it warns. It shows you what burned you, so you do not touch the flame again. But to walk forward, you must put the stone down. You must set the bag aside, because the road ahead demands lightness, clarity, and space for something new. Do not mistake endurance for growth. Endurance may carry the weight a little further, but growth dares to drop it and step into freedom. And when you finally release what you've been clutching so tightly, you will realize the weight was never your identity. It was only your test. And once the test is over, you are free to walk unburdened, free to rise without the stones that once kept you tethered to the ground. Letting go is not forgetting. It is freeing yourself from the chains of pain and memory. Too often, we believe that if we release the grip, if we stop replaying the moment, somehow it will mean that what happened no longer mattered. But memory is not erased by letting go. It is transformed. The experience is still carved into you, but it no longer rules you. It becomes part of your story, not the cage that confines it. Think of a scar. At first, it bleeds, it aches, it demands your attention. You touch it constantly, afraid it will never heal. But as time passes, the wound closes. The scar remains, not to torment you, but to remind you that you survived. You don't need to rip the wound open every day to prove it happened. In the same way, letting go does not dishonor the memory. It honors your life beyond it. So many people live in prisons of their own making, built not of walls and bars, but of thoughts and attachments. They replay conversations that can never be changed. They cling to faces that have already walked away. They relive failures as if dragging themselves through the fire again and again. This is not remembrance. It is self-punishment. And every punishment you give yourself for the past steals the energy you need for the present. To let go is to unlock the door, to step out into the sunlight of what is still possible. It does not mean you did what happened. It means you choose not to chain yourself to it any longer. You can look back with eyes of wisdom instead of tears of regret. You can carry the lesson without dragging the pain. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a river. In your hand, a stone, heavy with the weight of everything you refuse to release. You can carry it with you, and it will slow every step. Or you can throw it into the water. Let the ripples carry it away, and watch as the current swallows it into something larger than you. The stone is still real, but it no longer belongs in your hand. Letting go is not forgetting. It is finally breathing again, finally walking unshackled, finally making room for the life that is waiting beyond what you refuse to release. Clinging to what is gone burns like fire. Release is the only way to heal. Imagine holding a coal fresh from the flames. At first, you think you can manage it, that the pain will pass if you simply endure. But the longer you hold on, the deeper the burn sears into your skin. The coal does not cool in your hand. It only consumes you. And yet, so many of us do this with our past. We grip it tighter, even as it destroys us from the inside. We cling to words that wounded us, to people who left, to moments that shattered us. We replay them as if rehearsing the script of our suffering could change the ending. But fire never stops burning because you stare at it. Pain never eases because you hold it closer. The burn continues until you choose to let it fall. Look at nature. When a forest catches fire, it seems like devastation, an ending beyond repair. But what you cannot see in that moment is the hidden renewal. Beneath the ashes, the soil grows fertile, seeds awaken, and life begins again stronger than before. The fire was not the end. It was a passage. The same is true for you. The pain you've endured was never meant to be your final resting place. It was meant to strip away what no longer served you, so something new could take root. But you must allow the burn to end. Healing cannot begin while you keep reopening the wound, while you keep holding the flame to your chest. Healing begins the moment you surrender, the moment you drop the coal and let your hands finally cool. You are not weak for releasing. You are wise. The strongest warriors are not the ones who endure endless fire, but those who know when to walk out of the flames. Your strength is not proven by how much pain you can tolerate. It is revealed by how much peace you are willing to claim. So ask yourself, what coal are you still holding? What fire are you feeding by refusing to let go? Because the moment you open your hand, the burn ends and your healing begins. Life flows like water, and resisting the current only drowns the spirit. Have you ever stood in a river, pressing your body against the force of the stream? At first, it feels manageable. You plant your feet firmly. You fight to keep your balance, but the water never stops moving. It keeps pushing endlessly, relentlessly, and the longer you resist, the more strength it steals from you, until finally, you are exhausted, gasping, and desperate for relief. This is what happens when we resist the natural flow of life, when we cling to what is already gone or fight against what has already changed. Life is movement. Seasons turn, tides rise and fall. People come and go. Moments arrive and vanish. Nothing in nature holds on forever. Yet humans cling as if permanence were possible. We anchor ourselves to relationships that have already drifted away, to opportunities that have already passed, to versions of ourselves that no longer exist. And in doing so, we suffer. Not because life is cruel, but because we refuse to flow with it. The river does not stop for anyone. It does not pause to ask if you are ready. It moves forward, always forward. And you have a choice to fight until you drown in exhaustion, or release your grip and let the current carry you. When you surrender to the flow, you discover that the water is not your enemy. It is your path. It takes you where you were always meant to go, even if you cannot yet see the destination. Think of the times in your life when something ended. A job, a friendship, a dream. At first, it felt like loss, like the ground was pulled from under you. But later, perhaps months or even years down the line, you look back and realize that ending was a doorway. That what felt like drowning was actually the river moving you to a new shore you could not have reached otherwise. The flow of life asks for trust. Trust that you do not need to control every twist in the current. Trust that letting go will not destroy you, but free you. Trust that the water knows where to carry you, if only you allow yourself to stop resisting and begin to move with it. True strength is found not in holding tighter, but in opening the hand and heart. We live in a world that praises control, endurance, and the ability to grip tightly to what we fear losing. From the time we are young, we are told to fight harder, to never let go, to cling to what we value as if letting go is weakness. But strength is not proven by how much weight you can bear. It is revealed by your courage to release what no longer serves you. Picture a warrior clutching a sword long after the battle is over. His knuckles are white, his muscles trembling, his body weary. He refuses to drop the weapon because he believes it defines him, because without it he feels vulnerable. Yet in truth, he is only wounding himself, cutting his own skin with the very blade meant to protect him. Real strength would be to release it, to walk forward unarmed, to trust that his power lies not in the weapon, but within himself. We often confuse attachment with love and clinging with loyalty. But when you hold on too tightly, you suffocate what you wish to protect. Relationships, dreams, even identities, they cannot breathe in a closed fist. Love needs space to expand. Growth needs air to unfold. Transformation requires an open hand. The strength of the heart is the same. A closed heart may feel safe, protected from disappointment or loss, but it is also imprisoned. Nothing new can enter. No joy, no wonder, no freedom. To open the heart is to risk, yes, but it is also to live. Strength is not a hardened wall. It is a flexible tree that bends with the storm and rises again when the winds have passed. Strength is the mountain that allows the rivers to carve valleys into it without losing its essence. Strength is not about resisting change, but about standing firm in who you are as everything else shifts around you. So ask yourself, what are you still gripping so tightly that your hands are bleeding? What are you protecting that has already slipped away? Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do, the strongest step you can take, is to open your hand, unclench your heart, and discover the power that only freedom can bring. Emptiness is not loss. It is space for new beginnings, freedom, and transformation. Yet, many people fear emptiness, as if it were a void meant to swallow them. They run from silence, fill every moment with noise, cling to clutter in their minds and hearts, because they believe that if they stop holding on, they will be left with nothing. But emptiness is not nothingness. It is possibility. It is the canvas before the first brushstroke, the soil waiting for the first seed, the sky just before the sun begins to rise. Think of a room so full of old, broken furniture that you can barely move through it. You tell yourself these objects matter because they've been with you for so long. But in truth, they only block the space where new life could enter. To clear the room feels painful at first, like stripping away pieces of yourself. Yet once the space opens, you begin to see what is possible. You can breathe. You can move. You can fill it with what truly belongs. In the same way, the heart needs space. The soul needs room to expand. When you let go of what no longer serves you, yes, at first it feels like emptiness. The absence echoes. The silence feels unbearable. But stay with it. Within that silence, new wisdom is born. Within that emptiness, new strength awakens. The greatest transformations